Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Salsabila Draja Fazani, and I'm from 2021 Class A, and I'm a member of Group 4. Okay, in this video, I would like to explain and answer the speech production. But before we start, let me share screen first. Okay, as you can see on that screen, there are 8 questions, and these all the results from my group explanation. Okay, number 1. What are the main characteristics that our language have in common? Okay, in number 1, there are 3 points. First point, all natural languages have biological characteristics that influence their communicative abilities, such as the genetic or biological characters of the species. Okay, the second, the maturational characteristics of an individual also play a role in language development. For example, language abilities tend to improve with age, as a 12 years old is typically more advanced in language acquisition and usage compared to a 12-month-old, reflecting in the influence of maturation and developmental stage of language development. Okay, the last point, there is the culture of environment in which individuals are exposed to language also influence their language skills. Children in a highly interactive household are likely to have richer language abilities than children from less interactive households. Okay, number 2, give an example of descriptive rule of grammar. Give an example of perspective rule. Okay, in descriptive rules, define the language used by speaker in specific environment or community. They seek to reflect language's natural patterns and structures without passing judgment on accuracy or appropriateness. A descriptive rule could be in many dialects of English, double negatives are used for emphasis such as I didn't see nothing. Okay, in perspective rule, specify how language should be used based on specific standard or authority. They frequently determine what is deemed acceptable or proper usage. A, a, a prescriptive rule could include in proper formal English, double negatives are wrong and should be avoided. Instead, use a single negative like I didn't see anything. Okay, number 3. Describe 3 aspects of from that grammar govern, give an example of each. Okay, in this grammar govern, there are 3 aspects of grammar. The first grammar is phonological aspect. The second, there's morphological aspect. And the last, there's syntactic aspect. Okay, the first, phonological aspect, which involves the sound and pronunciation of words. For example, when the letter S appears at the beginning of a word, it is pronounced as the sound S. This sound is a voiceless alveolar fricative. For example, sun, sit. When they encounter the letter S at the beginning of word, it's a part of what makes up the phonological system of English and contributes to the overall sound patterns of a language. Okay, second, morphological aspect, which involves the structure and formation of words. For example, in English, the morphological rules governs the formation of plurals. For example, the rule states that most nouns form their plural by adding s or es at the end, such as cat or boxes. Okay, the last, there's syntactic aspect, which involves the arrangement and combination of words to form meaningful sentence. For example, subject, verb, object, or subject, object, and verb. In this, okay. we can use this example like she, subject, it, verb, an apple, object. So she is an apple. Okay, number 4. Give an example of recursion. Describe evidence suggesting that some language lack recursion. Okay, recursion example. Language is okay. Sorry. An example of recursion in language is when a sentence contains a clause that reverts back to the main clause. For example, I know that she knows that he likes ice cream. The clause that she knows that he likes ice cream. It's recursive because it refers back to the main clause, I know. Okay. Evidence of lack of recursion in some languages. The second example. Some languages, such Piraha, have been suggested to lack recursion. This based on the observation that Piraha does not have embedded clause or recursive structures in its grammar. Okay, number 5. How did the continuity and discontinuity hypothesis differ? What evidence can you present for each hypothesis? Is there any evidence that calls either of them into question? Which hypothesis do you favor and why? Okay. Okay, we can answer the first question first. 5.1. How do the continuity and discontinuity hypothesis differ? Okay. The answer is continuity and discontinuity hypothesis suggests that language evolution is a gradual process, with modern languages having evolved from early forms through small incremental change. In contrast, the discontinuity hypothesis proposes that language emerged suddenly and uniquely in humans, setting them apart from other species. Okay, the second, there are evidence for the continuity hypothesis. Evidence for the continuity hypothesis includes the similarities between human language and communication systems observed in other animals, such as the use of gesture and vocalization for social interaction. Okay, the third, there's evidence for the discontinuity hypothesis. It includes the unique features of human language, such as complexity, productivity, and the ability to convey abstract concepts. These features are not found in other animal communication systems. Okay, the fourth, there is evidence challenging both hypotheses. Such the lack of a clear fossil, such as the lack of a clear fossil record for language evolution, and the difficulty in determining the language abilities for existing hominin species. Okay, the last 5.5 this. Which hypothesis do you favor and why? Which is the continuity hypothesis? Propose that language eventually emerged from pre-existing cognitive capacities for the following reasons. Backed up by data from research comparing human and non-human animal cognitive and linguistic capacities, in line with finding that children acquire language gradually. Okay. Number 9, what kind of linguistic skills do non-human primates have? Should we think of them as knowing language? Okay, the answer is non-human primates, including chimpanzees, bonobos, gorillas, and orangutans, exhibit sophisticated vocalization, gesture, and limited symbolic communication, such as lexigrams or sign language. While they can convey basic ideas, their communication lacks the depth, recursion, and grammatical complexity of human language. Their communication is primarily context-specific and tied to immediate needs or social interactions. Although they pose some language skill, experts do not consider them to know language in the same way humans do. Nonetheless, research on non-human primate communication provides valuable insights into language development and interspecies communication. Okay, number 7. This is the last of this step 1. What is the relationship between language and thought? Describe evidence suggesting that general thinking abilities and language involve distinct sets of mental skills, and describe evidence suggesting that language influences the way humans think. Okay, the answer is although language and thought are closely intertwined, they are not entirely synonyms. Language serves as the tool for expressing and communicating thought, but there's evidence suggesting that general cognitive abilities and language encompass separate mental skills. An illustration of this observation that individuals with diverse linguistic background may possess varying degrees of cognitive flexibility and abstract reasoning abilities, impacting their problem solving and critical thinking skills. Okay, the evidence. First, distinct sets of mental skills. Research on bilingualism suggests that proficiency in multiple languages does not necessarily equate to equal competence in both languages, especially in tasks requiring advanced cognitive process. Okay. Second, influence of language on thought. Language is significantly influence human thought process, as evidenced by how speakers of different languages conceptualize time and perceive reality. For example, cultural and linguistic factors shape individual understanding of emotions. German's multiple terms of affection compared to English single word love can subtly alter expression and interpretation of feelings. Moreover, limited language proficiency can pose communication challenges, particularly for youth population seeking mental health care contributing to stress and distress. Okay, the last is are there some things that you can do if your language lacks the proper vocabulary? Okay, the answer is you need to contextual clue. Try to use another similar word that still have the same meaning with the actual word. And second, you have to synonym word. And the last, you have facial or hand gestures. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Okay, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.